No, this isn't just a skit. It is possible to get sent flying up into the air after running into the train. Once you start a race, head right for the train in El Barrio. It won't occur if you just run right into it, but by getting your health low enough so that one hit from the train will kill you, hold a charge jump and lunge right into the front of the oncoming train. Because you did this in the middle of a race, the game will launch you a good distance away. Depending on how you hit it, you could fall back to the city or into the water. Sometimes you'll be sent flying high with no clear sign of stopping. After some time, you'll hit invisible water and stop. The area unavailable text will pop up, often more than once. Just when it seems like you softlocked yourself, you'll respawn in the middle of the city frozen in the air, forced to watch life go on without you. You can combine this with the Peter outside glitch by using one of the races on the train track. Clip into the Daily Bugle, pause and restart the race, and walk along the tracks until you see the train. It'll be stopped, but make no mistake, it is still very dangerous to walk in front of. If you launch into the air and softlock yourself, you'll still spawn back in the city, this time with your suit on. Thanks to the many races in the city, Peter can show up in other places. For the Chapter 11 bank mission, there's a nearby race you can use once the mission marker becomes available. Going into the Daily Bugle after the race starts, instead of pausing and restarting right as you spawn in, go to the marker to go back out to the city as Spider-Man. Get close enough to where you can see the change prompts and try to activate it. You'll see the animation for Peter using the marker, but nothing will happen. In turn, this will grant the ability to use a wall jump to cross gaps, which we need for this glitch. Restart after this and you'll wind up back at the beginning of the race. Be careful not to fall off the buildings, but try and quickly get up against a wall while falling so you glide across it, and use charge jumps to cross the gaps to get to the building with the mission marker. Peter will try to stop Doc Ock and his henchmen, but since you can't attack, well, let's just say things won't go so well. 2 chapters later, after an incident at a convenience store, Mr. Jameson will send you on your way out after receiving the photos of the incident. Following this, a citizen will be in need of help, only to run away because
Spider-Man. He's a menace to the entire city!
Furious, Peter will go right back up to the Bugle and want to march right into JJ's office. Black Cat will persuade you into not doing so, but rather go on a little adventure. Now instead of going to the marker to start this cutscene, head over to the vent and clip in. After walking forward only a bit, the whole cutscene will play out with Peter, albeit some things are a bit off. Let's backtrack a little bit. In Chapter 9, Mr. Jameson will want you to get down to a news conference that our old pal Quentin Beck is hosting. Upon arrival, the theater will be on fire, leaving some citizens trapped and robots flying around surveying the room. This horrible act is being committed by the mysterious figure, Mysterio. There are quite a few things we can do with this mission in particular. First, before going into the Daily Bugle, if you wait for a nearby petty crime to appear which involves at least one thug, grapple one of them and bring them over to the roof of the Bugle. Keep them webbed up, crawl into the ceiling of the vent and go down just enough to where the white mission marker disappears, then leave. You'll want to bring them with you to the theater. Since the crime is still technically underway, it won't start the Bugle mission, and upon entering the theater, you'll notice that even though it's still on fire, the pedestrians, robots, and Mysterio will not be there, and you can't take damage from the fire down below as the appropriate damage hitboxes aren't spawned in. You can stay here for as long as the game will remain in this state, as after a while it'll time out and start the mission on its own. Following the theater and another section involving the Statue of Liberty, you'll need to head over to Mysterio's fortress. It won't take long to realize that it's more so just an apartment he's renting. Or is it? This secret elevator will bring you down to a very oddly placed funhouse world. There's this beginning room, a whole dining room that turns upside down, and a room of mirrors. In this very beginning room, you can once again clip out of bounds. Assuming you already have the web zip maneuver, stand on top of this hat and then proceed to hop on this roof. It'll be a bit hard to control as when standing still, the small corner of the room will want to push you off. Staying as straight as you can, hold the left trigger to sprint, then perform a charge jump, immediately followed by the crawl button. This can take a bit of time to get down, as a good amount of the time you'll probably end up crawling on the wall further down. If done at the right time, you should see Spidey crawling on the wall while being partially clipped through it. From here, use your web zip, which will send you right out of bounds on this outer invisible wall. Most of the open area here is again surrounded by water, which can send you back up to the city. If you're careful, you can make it to the end of the dining room and go further down towards the mirror room. There's actually a second set of mirrors on this outer edge. You can even make it to the lab that you get put in at the very end of the mission. Alright, one more thing with Mysterio and we'll move on. Going back to before you entered the apartment, you can perform what is known as Event Instant Activation, or EIA for short. Instead of going right to the apartment, head over to the Daily Bugle and clip in. Make your way towards Robbie to do a photo mission. He will give you an assignment, but the timer won't start as you're already in a mission, so the game is waiting patiently for that to finish so it can proceed with this now stored event. Finishing up the funhouse will start the next chapter, and yet it seems like Robbie forgot all about the pictures he wanted. At this point, standing near any marker that has a mission will cause it to be instantly activated, even though you had not selected to do it. It seems to work if you're relatively near the marker, or collide along one of its axes. Most notably, you'll see this happen with one of the many races in town, which can work out to your advantage for some, creating an impossible to beat time. It won't quite work for everything, as being near the marker for the pizza missions will cause the game to softlock. Well, that was going to be the last of EIA, until fellow user Sir Magnum found an interesting version of the trick which utilizes a race instead of a story mission. Just like before, start a race and clip into the Bugle. Talk to Robbie to give you a photo mission. After this, head back outside and complete the race. Right after this, find a new race and remotely start it. Now pause and quit the race. You'll notice the menu for asking to retry doesn't pop up, and Spider-Man is just staring off into the distance, completely motionless. Well, you can break him free of this hell by using your spider reflexes. Now here's where the good stuff happens. Go to any body of water and just jump in. You won't actually drown right away, and when crawling on the wall right alongside it, you can go right through the water. Here you can play with the camera, and if in the right spot, you'll shoot it across the entire map back to your location. If that wasn't fun enough, you can continue to crawl down until all of a sudden, Spidey will greet you upside down underneath the city. After going a certain distance away or just by hitting certain spots on the map, you'll get stuck and will have to launch back into the invisible water underneath the ground. This water glitch will stay like this for as long as the console remains on, and just like the other EIA method, pizza missions will softlock the game when remotely accessed. As mentioned before, during Chapter 11 you'll meet up with Aunt May at the bank. Just before you start the mission, you can actually go into the bank through this door. You have the ability to explore it completely empty, although there really isn't much to do here. Trying to get back out is the only problem, as it won't let you, resulting in a softlock in the bank until you restart your save file. When originally trying to record this on Xbox, it allowed for Spidey to enter the bank, and then leave for seemingly no reason. You can cause Spider-Man to glide across the city. You'll first need to start off by having the web attached to something, making sure that there is nothing else for the web to attach to in sight. At the end of your swing, break off, face backwards towards the building or object you were just swinging from, hold the web swing button, and then face forward once more. This will cause the game to be tricked into starting a swing, but because it can't attach to anything, you'll fall at a much wider angle. You can cover a lot more ground, especially when using a swing boost. This glide can also prevent fall damage, which is a nice bonus. This nifty little trick was discovered by Cheeseoman back in 2010. This channel would also be responsible for finding stuff such as the Peter Walk cycle softlock in the Daily Bugle. Being able to cover more distance from a swing is pretty handy, but what if you need to boost quickly off a wall? Let me introduce you to slide jumps. The term slide jump was coined after its founder Slyfincleton. It's a momentum storage glitch that allows for more height to be carried out at the end of a wall run. To do this, you'll need to charge up a jump, and right as you're about to let go, hold the left trigger and press the crawl button up against the wall to run on it. Make sure your run can reach the end of that wall, as once you step off it, the charge jump will be used so you can gain some extra height. To allow for more distance to be covered, you can apply the same process right after coming out of a boosted web swing. Not only will the extra height be used, but it will continue to carry you forward, getting you towards your destination faster. We've already seen some of the things you can do with the thugs, but we can have a little more fun with them. When grappling one, if you very quickly turn around and punch just slightly after, you should see Peter perform a weird looking kick. Right after this, double tap the web button and he should be spun around. He'll freeze mid-air, and Spidey will be holding on to nothing. Being very careful not to double jump or do any fancy web swing moves, you can continue to hold on to nothing while moving away, and when you feel like you've gone far enough, double tap the web button again and you'll see your line completely freak out. It's better to perform this on a thug in a story mission that will allow you to go outside, as with the petty crime, if you go too far away, you'll fail that objective. Returning to the area you left the criminal, you may end up seeing him glitch out inside of a wall.
I'm the sheriff around these parts.
Whoa, hey, whoa, what's going on here? While that wasn't part of the script, there is an explanation as to what's happening here. For starters, you'll have to have unlocked the air pile driver from the Spidey store. This move allows you to bash an enemy's head against the ground after jumping. While it seems rather violent, we can use this to get the spin effect. Then find a civilian who will give you an armored car mission. Don't save the officers, and after most of the criminals are taken out and providing there's not a getaway car, you can grab the last one and perform the thug freeze from before. Jump over the officer still tied up and use the air pile driver move, and voila! Spidey can now work the nightclubs.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Many different people found a variety of glitches and exploits, but one user had a bit more time on their hands. Fellow glitch hunter WeirdTurtle found that through a series of events, you can get a criminal to kill a police officer. Okay, I know that sounds dark and a bit too realistic, but hear me out. Find a civilian who will give you a carjacker mission, kill all but one of the thugs, and wait for the police car's tires to screech, stopping behind a now halted stolen car. Proceed to get to higher ground, not too far away from the thug, but enough so you won't get attacked. Wait patiently for a petty crime to pop up. It'll work if the crime involves thugs. Make sure you don't get too far away from the original carjacker mission, which would otherwise fail and despawn. Grab a thug from the petty crime that has a gun. It may take a while to find the right mission, so you'll have to have more patience with this one. Bring this petty thug back to the original mission right near the cop car, web them in place, and kill the remaining carjacker, also near the officer's car. Once the petty criminal breaks free, stand behind the officer now standing outside, and when the goon starts to shoot you, it'll hit the officer. If you've played past Spider-Man games, you may recognize the damage sounds he makes as being from a Skulls Gang thug from the Spider-Man 2002 game. More than likely it was a borrowed asset when developing Spider-Man 2, but it's odd how even though they're not typically supposed to take damage, this officer will. After getting shot enough, he'll fall to the ground, immobile.
He's a menace to the entire city!
Here's a rather funny one that involves more luck and of course more patience. You'll first want to have purchased the web hanger upgrade from the store, which will be available starting in chapter 11. Find a petty group of thugs and web one up, so you can quickly punch them twice, followed by at least 1 or 2 web button presses, and finally jump. Doing all of this should set up Spidey to tie the criminal to a nearby pole. Now here's where this can test your patience. While doing this, you have to hope you'll get hit by one of the other punks in the gang. As soon as that happens, Spider-Man will fall to the ground with the original thug in tow. They'll stay stuck to you for a while. Just like when you tie them to a pole, after a bit they'll disconnect. At least for your hard work, you get to see this bozo dragged across the pavement. If you played the previous entry in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man series of games, you may recognize the boss in chapter 12. Black Cat will engage you in a chase as a certain padded Pete will be active again, causing havoc.
So you must be Quilt Man, Mr. Triple Ply? Oh, I've got it! The cushion.
Shocker can be rather annoying to fight. It'd be so much better if you could just whoop him and call it a day. Well, apparently it is possible to do, and all you have to do is crawl along the right side wall and pass the small section towards the top. Any higher or lower and you'll activate his cutscene. If you hit him too much, he'll die, and upon starting the cutscene by going back towards the door, the fight will soft lock as, well, he's dead. But you can hit him down to where he'll barely have any health left, then start the fight and finish him off. What's that? Triple Ply is still around? Yeah, only one chapter later you'll have to fight him yet again. So we'll go inside to find out what exactly Shocker's got going on. Wait, what even happened here? I clipped through the wall with a bag, and now I'm just here. Okay. Trying to avoid doing that again, we'll see the arena Shocker is now in, where again he'll be very annoying to fight. Once again we can basically skip that fight. Charge jumping towards the ceiling, and hitting the crawl button as soon as we make contact with it, crawl onto this wall and just before crossing over again, stop and then hold the left trigger and crawl across the edge. This will make you crawl faster, just barely avoiding the hitbox for the cutscene. From here you can crawl up a bit more and then perform a charge jump to launch straight off the wall. After beating up Shocker enough, go towards the door and then back in. Skip the cutscene and finish him off. You know, it's been a while since we talked with Dr. Octavius. I want to see if maybe we could... Otto, what are you doing? Alright, you don't want to talk? I guess I'll just do what I'm good at.
What? What? He's just dead.
Well, I lied. I didn't do it. But once again, Slyfincleton ran into a very weird thing that happened at the end of one of his speedruns. As soon as he delivered the final blow to Doc Ock, he himself was also hit, and barely having any health left, he died. The controller will continue to rumble throughout all this. After everything is over, when you load back into the city for the post-game exploration, Peter will be dead.
This is my gift, my curse. Who am I?
Thank you so much for watching this glitch series on Spider-Man 2. If you enjoyed what you watched, consider liking the video and subscribing. You can also click the bell icon to know when new videos are up. Until then, take care and peace.